Welcome everyone. We're going to go live and we're going to try to have a good talk about socialism, communism, and the Second World War. And part of the talk, of course, will be, will Hitler be recognized as a socialist or not? And hey, Rin, you just came in on time. The thing is, we had a small Twitter debate whether Hitler was or was not a socialist. And, well, on Twitter, we could not bring back the points that were necessary, what with only 140 characters per time. So I thought, you know what? We have a stream. Let's fill the stream with this topic. Was Hitler a socialist or not? And what was socialism and communism during, before, and after the Second World War?
Right.
So that's quite a big topic. Who wants to go first? Oh, come on, not all at once.
I would say, of course, Hitler basically being so entrenched in the National Socialist Party, he was not a founder. It existed before he found out about it, but he very quickly rose to basically be actually not basically, he became the figurehead of the German National Socialist Party. So I think basically being so far in with them, I think he was a socialist. And of course, other things as well, like anti-Semitism, also would be thrown into that to help make up his character or his beliefs.
Honestly, I think that he was a socialist and carried the socialism thing of the party until he became chancellor.
The thing is,
it changed at that point. It became something different. I don't know what to call it.
Let's define socialism first, so we can see where we start.
Yeah, actually,
everyone has a different definition.
This is a good question of Carlos. First off, I do want to make very, very clear, I am not a supporter of Hitler. The dude was an idiot. If he wasn't dead yet, we would kill him again. But at the same time, the argument is not whether he was a good or bad person. Was he a socialist?
Exactly.
So if
I don't think anyone
starts to think that we are in favor of Hitler, I'm sorry, you're wrong. We're not, or at least I'm not, and I assume none of us are. But we will.
Man. He was freaking awesome.
If he was still alive today, and we knew 100% for sure he was still alive, if for some reason he wasn't in prison, I'd shoot him myself.
There's some guy in Argentina.
You would have been over 130 years old.
There's some guy in Argentina claiming that he is the man himself, and he's releasing a book this year.
Yeah.
What really happened is that he would have been dead by now. So
yeah.
But they do think
like that spoils like this man's going into print. He's having a book published. He's got an ISBN. So.
But you know that the CIA actually did think that he went there, though, right?
It's impossible for him to be Hitler. He would be well over 100 years old.
No, that's what the guy is claiming.
He has a face on the moon, guys. He has a face on the moon. Haven't you seen that documentary?
Yeah. Whoa, wait, Iron Sky. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, the documentary.
Right? We made you airy.
You are right, though, John. You are right. He is claiming that. His partner, on the other hand, is saying, yeah, he's getting old.
Oh, yeah.
There was a series called Chasing Hitler or something, and in that series on the history, they were actually going based on CIA investigation that had a report that said he might have fled instead of being killed, but I don't know how true that was because...
Nah, he killed himself and he was...
Okay, but socialism, it's...
Well, here's the thing with all of that. The records are... The Germans were anal about records. They kept records on everything. It's amazing what they kept records on.
You know what's funny is so did the Jews.
The records were, but from about December of '44 on, the records were absolute crap if they existed at all.
Right.
Like even back in the days of the German Empire, they serialized the screws on their rifles.
Yep.
And they did that.
Where would you put that?
It's a special character, but for each individual rifle, and sometimes it's only two numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
came to having everything planned out to the T, which they still are. So there not being records shows how in trouble they were.
Right.
But okay, so let's start with the first question. Can we define socialism? Because before we can decide whether he was or wasn't a socialist, whether Stalin was or wasn't a socialist, etc., etc., before we are able to answer that question, we need to define what socialism was and is.
Well,
So,
there are aspects of socialism which are common between. It's common between everyone that adopts that sort of philosophy, that sort of ideology, economic model, whatever you want to call it. One of them is, let me see, welfare.
Yeah. Well, so in Marxism, right, they would describe socialism as in between capitalism and communism, right?
Socialism is the path towards communism. Socialism is a step before communism.
It says here, according to the actual definition, right? Okay, somewhere between the overthrow of capitalism and the realization of communism.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense. But it also says that advocating the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. So in other words, like the people, I guess. But it's not like in Canada when we have socialized medicine. It's not like the people who are doing it. It's the fucking government. So
the thing is,
it's hard to tell. You know.
Well,
if we look at any country in the Western world that claims that they're socialist, they're lying. Denmark explained this the best. Denmark often said, "Stop calling us a socialist democracy. We're a social democracy. There is no ist."
Well, another difference between socialist and practical sense and communist. Socialists often advocated a gradual change into socialism through using the system that is already in place, whereas communists often almost exclusively advocated for a violent revolution.
Yeah, but that's because when Lenin started with his pathway to communism, basically socialism is the way to communism. And after Lenin's revolution, he tried to make Russia communist, but he couldn't, because he couldn't do that last step. There was no way to basically give all the production power to the people without a state, because basically that's what communism is supposed to be. But then there was another revolution, and Stalin took over from Lenin and basically said, "Oh, yeah, no, we've done it. It's done now."
Okay, but isn't communism supposed to give more
control
to the people than the government? Isn't that?
I'm sorry. Let's Falcon first, and then you, mate. Sorry.
The time frame I was referencing is the late 1880s into the 1890s. The only reason I know this is in high school, my senior thesis was on history of the bicycle, and socialism was women, ironically, would ride bicycles around and advocate for socialism. And I am not joking. It was very, very prevalent in the UK.
It was. Yeah, it was. That's definitely true. Yeah. Feminism is basically a socialist movement.
Okay, so what I was asking so socialism is more about the government controlling the means of production, which is kind of meme-tastic right now. It's anyway, because of the whole Kyrgyzstan thing, but whatever. So the government controlling the means of production and distribution. Okay, so is communism not a lot of it supposed to be? You know, the people having a bit more control than the government.
Communism was supposed to be the people are in control.
Right, exactly. But Stalin turned it into something like fucked up. Like,
if all the people are in control, wouldn't that be complete anarchy?
But I don't think Stalin's version was.
That's why there was still the need of a state to ensure the safety of people.
Okay.
But the state should not be in control of production. But even under Stalin, the state was in control of production because communism is a planned economy.
He starved all those fucking people, right? So, I mean,
well, just between 33 and 34 in the space of about 8 months to a year, he starved to death and estimated the estimations range from 4 to 12 million, with about a 6 to 8 million being the average of the estimates.
Like I know Hitler killed a lot of people, a lot more, right? He killed more than Stalin, I believe.
No.
Stalin killed more. Okay.
Yes, Hitler killed about 21 million people, including war deaths.
Okay.
Stalin killed approximately 45 million,
Right.
excluding war death.
So what crime
And
do you think
all
is
of
worse,
that-
though?
All of that it pales in comparison to China.
Oh yeah, Mao.
Mao did roughly 60 million with the Great Leap Forward.
But
In
see,
a
I
span of
agree. I agree
20
that what Hitler did, as far as the Holocaust goes, is way worse than what Stalin did, though. Even though he killed more people.
And this is where people go wrong. I'm sorry, here, I have to interrupt you. Because what did Hitler do that was worse than what Stalin did? Remember, 21 million died during the Second World War, including war deaths. Stalin is responsible in actual killing of more than 40 million.
Did he take them and make... Did he take them and make lampshades out of their skin?
Yeah, well, probably not personally, but you don't want to know the atrocities that the Russians did.
Oh, I know they've done tons of stuff. I'm just saying that, like...
Stuff like that did happen too.
I know, but taking someone and sticking them in an oven and, like, all that stuff, like... showers and the whole thing.
Actually,
like,
guys, sticking
someone
into an oven.
because they don't have food.
I don't know. I just think it's way worse, but the way Hitler tortured...
I think that's when it comes to the American education system. We focus a lot on Hitler and Germany and whatnot, but we don't. In the American education, the public education system, we don't focus too much on what's happened with Stalin and the Soviet Union and what happened in Russia. It's most likely what happened with Hitler, and so people feel empathy. People feel a lot more empathy with the Jews and what the Jews went through, even though there were more people than the Jews. People just see everything that happened in the concentration camp, and they begin to feel empathy. And it's like, man, this is horrible. This is terrible. This is wrong. Without, really thinking that Stalin is perhaps worse.
Exactly. Also, I don't know about you guys, but yes, the Nazis did some terrible things. The vast majority of high altitude research that was done to people, not exclusively the Jews, also other people. But I still think Stalin was worse, not only because of the number of people, but also he starved and worked people to death.
Oh yeah.
In the most literal sense of the words.
We have sort of gotten a bit off track, people. We haven't established what socialism is.
But then again,
you still have to. No. Carlos
let me
is
say
right.
this one thing.
Okay, sorry.
There's even a lot of war veterans from that were back then. They would talk about Germany, they would talk about all these places, but as soon as you ask them about Russia, they go fucking quiet.
Well, we are discussing the crimes that were committed supposedly under the name of socialism. So technically, we are still on track.
Yeah, but we're not talking. We still need to define what socialism is.
Then we can talk about all that.
It's a system where the government controls the means of production and distribution.
Not necessarily. That's
There is more to it.
I know that's not the practical definition, okay? That's the definition on paper, okay?
Oh, yeah,
In theory, that's the definition.
It is correct.
But when they apply it,
it's not. I'm
it's
just saying
always
that.
different, right?
Yeah.
I just mean every person applies it.
Socialism is the road to communism, which is the control of production, and etc., etc. We know that part now, but we have to define the particulars of socialism without even touching on the controlling the means of the production and distribution. What other aspects can there be? I mentioned one. Welfare.
Government-controlled healthcare.
Right.
Right. Like in Canada, that we do have socialized medicine in Canada, right?
Socialized medicine, free rights, free roads.
Well, government-controlled roads, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, they build them and they don't even need to have them toll gates and etc.
Yeah.
Better be careful. Jay the Magic Robot's going to join you. But it'll be interesting to hear his take on this because he's arguing in Twitter right now. It's like he should come in here or in the chat and
welcome
discuss
to join
it.
if he wants to.
I know, he should.
I did drop the link, and
I know.
they're welcome. But okay, so socialism, healthcare, welfare,
education.
Education.
Yes.
What else?
Regulations, so that's sort
Health
of
regulations.
without having to, not just health regulations that ensure the population are, let's say,
also,
benefited.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's
Well, for
also
example, like the free weekend.
factories.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, importing and exporting, right?
Well,
All that stuff.
Exactly.
planned economy.
Everything.
Planned economy.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Basically, everything controlled by the government. Like, is it really that?
Okay.
Like, is it that nuanced? Like, you know
So
what I mean?
are we in agreement that this is what socialism is?
More or less. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
And which of these boxes did Nazi
does Hitler
Germany not tick? Is there any of the boxes that didn't count in Nazi Germany?
No, not really.
So then Nazi Germany was a socialistic state.
It was a socialistic state by him himself. I don't like. Yeah, I would say it is. Well, it's called the Socialist Party for a reason. You know what I mean?
So then which argument do people have to claim Hitler wasn't a socialist when obviously the country he ruled is, as far as we know now, by every definition, a socialist country?
maybe because they don't want to stick modern socialism like completely in the same boat as what Hitler did because Hitler was so evil.
I'm not
You know
really
what I mean?
sure.
I think they just don't want to. People who are socialists who think socialism can be good don't want to put the stigma on it because there's a stigma also on fascism.
Right. I think
Okay,
there
so-
are certain positive aspects to the healthcare being covered in Canada. However, it's not as overarching as people think in Canada. It's really not. Like our healthcare system still fucking sucks. Even with that, so it's not that great anyway. It's just, you know, I don't know. There has to be some middle ground somewhere for our healthcare or something. I don't know. But I know I can't afford to pay into a system, pay for whatever at this moment anyway.
I made a video almost a year ago now why socialized healthcare isn't working, even though the concept isn't bad. But that goes. There's a problem with socialized healthcare in a market economy where there's a plutocratic protection of that market.
And keep in mind, the actual name was National Socialist German Workers' Party. So
Exactly. Yeah.
you know that should tell you something right there. You know.
Even if we look at fascism, very few people know that Mussolini started off as in the Communist Party.
Yeah.
He was
He
very
wasn't
left-leaning.
a fascist. He joined the fascist party. He wasn't a fascist.
No. He joined it exactly. He took it over basically, like Hitler took over the National Socialists. But
that's
he
the
didn't
thing,
change much.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
They didn't change. Yeah, they didn't change much of the platform of the parties when they took over. They made it more populist.
But it's
If those
kind of
greedy American banks didn't help them like they did, you know.
Yeah.
no, they didn't.
Insane.
But the funny thing is, and this is why I basically said socialism, communism, and the Second World War. Because if we go before the Second World War, if we go to 1917, we saw, for example, the Bolsheviks, both in the Weimar Republic and in Italy. The Bolsheviks basically created protests and attacked people. Not unlike that we see Antifa doing now, to be honest. And as a response to that, fascism re-emerged in Italy.
Your empire is saying the name NSDAP doesn't matter. We're asking whether they were socialist in practice.
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Empire of Truth.
Because they can name it whatever the hell they want. It doesn't necessarily mean that they were doing it. That's what he means.
No, he's right there. I mean, you can call yourself whatever. The thing is, if we look at what the NSDAP did, they were socialists. I mean, they created highways so that the people could travel. They created holidays for people to go on. They created socialized healthcare. they were very much a socialist country. The only
They
thing,
created the Volkswagen.
the Volkswagen,
The people's
definitely.
car.
Okay, and if you and that was all done that was before Second World War, was it not?
Yes.
Yes, that was
Exactly,
actually
not in
33, if I
38.
remember right.
38.
Exactly.
No, Volkswagen's 38.
So like all the things
Sorry.
that maybe could have been deemed positive for Germany, as in the unemployment being next to zero and all that other stuff, the railroads, everything else, happened after World War One, right? In between World War One and Two, and then when World War Two happened, when he became chancellor, it became all crazy and fucking,
Well, in all fairness, during the signing of Versailles, it was already said that okay, we gave ourselves peace. It might last a decade, but we basically started the Second World War at the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. And this is recognized by, for example, the French, who were considered the winners. So they already said, bad idea.
Yeah.
The French also had a very big grudge against the Germans, because they were the first to go up against the Germans during at the beginning of World War One, which a lot of people don't know this. World War One was really 3 wars that coalesced into one great war.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they called it that.
It was a pretty messy affair to begin with. Okay, wait a second. I'm going to respond to Empire of Truth again. You consider things like highway networks and socialized healthcare to be socialism. But then you said earlier that the nations like Denmark aren't socialist. No, Empire of Truth, I'm not the one who said they aren't socialist. They are the ones who said they aren't socialist. They say Denmark is a social democracy, not a socialist democracy. Basically the same as the Netherlands.
They can't be socialist in the purest sense of the word, which in reality no government can be socialist in the purest sense of the word.
But the question is not whether they can or not. The question is whether they want to or not. And Denmark definitely doesn't want to be.
Do you think that they followed the rules of engagement as well as they did during World War One? In World War Two, did they do it as well as they did in World War One? I'm saying.
I'm not sure have your question.
Okay. So they used to have rules of engagement, right? And the way they handled battle was a little bit more respectful than say what's going on in like fucking Afghanistan now.
Yeah.
Oh, they did. They did.
Oh, they did.
At least in the European theater, they did.
Yeah. Well, no. In the Arab theater too. Officer Rommel, General Rommel, was universally acknowledged as being a great gentleman.
No. I mean the European theater, including North Africa. I'm not talking about the Far East.
Okay,
Japanese.
sorry. No,
yes.
Japan didn't uphold.
He's saying the European nations tend to be more gentlemanly and want to fight the military and basically leave the civilians alone.
Yeah.
Whereas in to the case of the Far East and the Middle East, the civilians get involved, period.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not to that extent. I mean, they didn't necessarily execute the captured prisoners immediately. They may have tortured them later in camps and that, but they sort of to a great extent followed the Geneva Convention, because Hitler had gas, could have produced chemical weapons, but he did never use them. Or
he
even
also
produced
was
them.
terrified.
He was because he was a victim of a chemical attack in World War One. So he just said no, fuck that.
That's
well, also something that's interesting. Following the Geneva Convention, technically medics are not to be armed, and you cannot shoot at a medic because technically that under the Geneva Convention that is a war crime. The Germans followed that. They would not shoot a medic, and the American medics in North Africa and in Europe were basically very safe. Maybe a stray bullet once in a blue moon, but
obviously,
still they were not targeted. However, Japan, they were told, in many cases they were told specifically target the medics.
Yes. But in all fairness, if we look at the Second World War and we look at Germany and Japan, we are being taught that they were the Axis, that they worked together.
No,
in reality, they did not.
No, they had no contact. And if we consider the atrocities that each side. Everyone forgets the atrocities of the Japanese, and they were as bad, if in some cases, the rape of Nanking, the Bunker Island massacre, which they slaughtered Australian nurses, the Bantam Death March, the Sandakan Death March, the murder and cannibalism of the Kokoda Trail in New Guinea. Shit, and I'm just looking at the Wikipedia.
Okinawa,
Okinawa.
Exactly. A lot of people don't know this, but if anybody here has seen the HBO series The Pacific, the one scene where they show a Okinawan woman who's holding her child and trying to hand it to anybody because she has a bomb literally tied to her, that a Japanese soldier tied to her. That was not uncommon.
Exactly.
No, unfortunately not. But yeah, the thing is, what I found funny, the simplest proof that Germany and Japan weren't in it together. During the beginning of the Second World War, Germany used special mines to cripple the waterways around England, Great Britain.
The magnetic
mines.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, actually fortunately for Great Britain, the Germans dropped it at the wrong spot, so it was found. They figured out how it worked. The English gave the design to the Americans, and the Americans used it on the Japanese. And the Japanese never figured out what happened. Had they communicated with the German army, they would have known.
Yes.
Well, also, the Japanese had their own. It's interesting. Y'all know about the Messerschmitt
109?
163.
Yeah,
no, not the 109. The Comet.
The jet.
Oh, it's a
the 163. The 163.
Yes, the 163. Thank you. The 163B. The Japanese later copied it, but they did not like call up Messerschmitt and say we would like the plans to the Comet. No, what they did is they had spies, and that's how they got the basic idea. But they still didn't have anywhere near the capability of that for that aircraft.
Yeah. You know what? I always wonder, like, about the whole rules of engagement thing. Like, what the fuck? It's war. Who the hell cares?
Well, there is a reason why.
But maybe we should hold a different stream on that.
Well, because they knew that they were both in the same boat. That both armies knew they were in the same boat. Like,
yeah, but they weren't really.
Someone else, you know.
It was more that if Japan started to partake in the war as well, Japan could keep America busy. That was the main reason why they even acknowledged each other, but they didn't work together. There's no big mission or big fight where they worked together.
Let's face it, too. A lot of the German soldiers were scared to go against, Hitler and the leadership and everybody.
Well, it's like the chemical weapon stuff, right? It kills millions. It kills so much more efficiently than conventional means. Why not use it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's atrocious, of course, but yeah.
People were so scared of it because the memories of the Great War were very fresh on European minds. However, over here in the States, it was a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we basically forgot about it.
I just never really understood, like, if this kills more efficiently, why not use it?
Because
I find that go on. I'm just gonna do
it's like the atom bomb, okay? Remember what Oppenheimer said, quoting the Bhagavad Gita. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, I've become death, the destroyer of worlds.
And if you've never heard the audio tape of him saying that, it's the creepiest fucking thing you'll ever hear in your life. Isn't
there a little movie about it?
It is.
He looks so despaired in that movie, man.
Yeah. But this is the thing, though. I mean, they're at one point happy that they made it, but at the same point, they died blaming themselves.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, once you go to a certain point, you know what I mean? Like that. Once the atom bomb was created, it's like that was point of no return, and like it changed a lot of stuff and helped develop a lot of countries having nuclear power. But at the same time, like when.
But you know what I mean.
It also has helped prevent wars, but also a lot. a lot of people don't realize this. People like Paul Tibbets, pilot of the Enola Gay, when they dropped they dropped Fat Man, the first of the two. No, not Fat Man, Little Boy on Thank you. I always get the two confused for some reason.
Okay, so I'm wondering.
Fat Man was the
doing that.
Okay, why did they drop the second one? I never.
They had to.
Yeah.
To make sure, basically, yeah.
To make sure, because Japan wasn't really ready to capitulate.
I think
there was a third
more. I think it was more of a demonstration to Russia. The second one.
I wouldn't say
because after the first one was dropped, Russia declared war on Japan.
But Falcon, you said something about a third bomb?
Occupied the Communism Islands.
There was supposed to be 3 bombs. They sped it up a little bit because they wanted a show of force. The plan for the plan was Fat Man would get dropped in Tokyo Harbor. It wouldn't destroy anything. It would scare the living shit out of everybody. And the Emperor himself would get to see a nuclear detonation. And the other two, the idea of the other two being you drop another one on a city just to say, hey, this is what it does, bitch. And what really the big reason why Hirohito told his generals that they are surrendering is he didn't know how many of the things we had. He was scared of the entire island chain, archipelago being nuked.
Yeah.
About the Tokyo, yes, that was one of the targets. But if you dropped it in Tokyo Harbor, it would destroy Tokyo itself.
Yeah.
And they knew what damage the bombs would have done. So they specifically targeted 2 non-military points just to make that point. That
it was also an experiment.
Yeah,
well, not really.
It really was, because we didn't know what would happen to buildings or the civilian population. None of that testing.
But they knew the destructive force.
Destructive. They just didn't know how destructive.
Exactly.
And the thing is, they dropped the second one because they really wanted to make sure that Russia wasn't in war with Japan already, because basically to protect Japan from Russia. Funny enough.
But they knew the exact amount of damage that was established in the first test they did in Los Alamos. They did 2 tests, and they knew the fucking destructive power that shit had. And so they knew what damage it would done. That's not the question that's been put. The 2 targets. The first target was basically what they did. But if Hirohito immediately surrendered that day, they wouldn't have dropped the second one. But he didn't surrender the next day. He waited. So America, like you said, they dropped the second bomb. 1, to make Hirohito say we are not fucking around, and 2, Russia had declared war on Japan in between the 2 bombs, and they occupied the Karelian Islands or whatever, the 2 northern islands that's below the coast of the Kamchatka Peninsula. Just the last point I want to make. We were talking about when we were talking about World War One. I find it hard that the generals did not take lessons from the American Civil War, which was basically the World War One in Europe was basically a copy of the siege battles that Grant and Lee fought in some of the places, not Savannah, around the Mississippi, those entrenched positions, and it always baffles me how they didn't learn. That's why World War II was totally different.
Yeah.
Well,
the fact that the German army at that time, the Wehrmacht, was the fucking best army the world had seen till that day.
Well, and a lot of people don't know that a lot of the tactics we use, the way we orient our squads, how we use tanks, how we use airplanes. Basically, if you look at, I can't remember crap, I can't remember if it was Enduring Freedom. Basically, when we invaded Iraq and went straight to Baghdad, that was a carbon copy of Blitzkrieg.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Very much
You
so.
guys
We
don't.
used
You
them.
guys don't probably know or not, but Blitzkrieg was developed from French theories.
Yes.
But perfected by German generals.
Exactly. The French theorized that the tank battles, because after just last months of World War One, and afterwards in the interwar period, and the I don't know, it wasn't, I can't remember the German, but Rommel read it. There was a German general that basically drew the plans of Blitzkrieg, and he said, "Shit, the French have this here and they're not using it. What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So it was.
Anyway, we're going a little bit too much into the Second World War itself.
Yeah.
The idea was socialism. Communism,
Socialism.
Socialist. I'm trying to find arguments against it, and one of the arguments I often hear against it, Hitler wasn't a socialist because he was a nationalist.
Mm.
And
Can be both.
you can be both, actually, up till, well, actually, even if we look at socialistic states now, every socialistic state out there has, up to some degree, some more, some less, a pretty strong nationalistic tendency. And for example, if we look at, look at Venezuela now.
Yeah.
It's a socialistic state. It has very strong nationalistic tendencies.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's a little bit more socialistic than nationalistic, so it just doesn't care about its own people. But, so nationalism.
Hello, Optimus.
Oh, yeah, hi there, Oatimus.
Oh, now you come.
Oh, hey.
But yeah, okay. So I hate this, to be honest. So we're all in agreement. Hitler, arsehole that he was, hellhole of the world that he was a socialist.
And he didn't do nothing.
Yeah,
No.
people tend to.
I agree with the socialism part. I know he did lots. I'm just saying.
People don't tend to realize Nazi stands for National Socialist. They kind of skip over that part. Usually.
Yeah. That's true.
Emperor's truth. I understand you when you say I don't consider Hitler a socialist because I'm working with the dictionary definition. But even if we look at the dictionary definition, Hitler is a socialist. Or at least if we look at the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition.
He instilled a pension plan for the people.
Yep. He created healthcare.
Healthcare.
He created job security.
He regulated the companies to not exploit the workers.
Yep. He created, the weekend.
The weekend.
Hell, he even started the campaign against smoking because smoking is bad for your health.
But it's so delicious. It's so delicious, though.
Well, there are millions of ways to die. If you want to smoke and die, hey, you know what? If you're not going to smoke and die, you'll die in another way, so who cares?
I'm already dying in another way, so I don't care.
There you are. No, but I agree. I totally agree.
Yep. Eventually. Everybody is, right? We're born dying. But yeah, so Hitler did, okay, I hate to say this, but before all the bullshit, Hitler did some good in Germany. I'm sorry, but he did.
Every war has had some good impact in the world as well. The Second World War in that is no different. Yeah, he did a lot more that's not good. It's kind of
medical
funny.
advancements went way up when you take ethical questions out of the equation.
Yeah. And the weapon
like
advancements.
people like me, right? People like me.
To
My parents would have been fucking like. My parents would have been, what's it called? Not when they. Anyway, sterilized. Sorry, my parents would have been sterilized because they wouldn't want my bad genes passing on to anybody.
Yeah. But funny enough, the same thing happened in Sweden. Nobody talks about that.
Oh, and
Sweden
in the
did
United
that
States.
Still, what, the 70s?
Well,
in the United States,
wasn't
they still do a limited amount, but it was especially prevalent in the 20s.
Yeah, but you do know that the people who after the war were doing the eugenics experiments were German. So
Not all of them, unfortunately.
No, but the main guy, what's his face?
Well, he was. Well, yeah, but eugenicism basically never worked.
Wasn't that? Yeah, wasn't
No, I
that
know it never worked.
pre-World War II?
That
Eugenics
started
comes from the late,
it's way older.
late 19th century. Yeah.
It started before that, but I'm saying that the major program that they had was when they brought
Guys, I'm
you know,
sorry,
when-
I have
once
to
they
go
had the
AFK for a
3D.
sec. I'll be right back.
Okay.
No worries, Tom. Modwain. Japan also experimented medically on
Oh yeah.
on the captured soldiers and peoples that they did, but they don't seem to get the same bad rap as. No, I'm not excusing them. Both are fucking horrendously horrible, and god damn it, if we could blow them up before they started, yes, but we can learn from history. We should never apologize for history. We should learn from history. We are not learning, and we are excusing Japan. We excuse Japan because we dropped 2 atom bombs on them and they gave up. But we have not excused the Nazis, who were not worse than the Japanese Imperial Army in barbarism, and we have sort of not vilified them as much, which is wrong.
I think it's because of what people associate when they think of Japan. When people think of Japan, the very first thing that usually pops into people's minds is anime and video games, and people
samurai.
Well, there you have it, Rin. We should Japan. That's the problem with Germany. They did not begin their anime industry ever. I get your point, Rin. Absolutely, yes.
Jawohl!
Like when people think of Japan, like for example, if you were to go to something like Tumblr, for example, so many people love and adore Japan because they love and adore anime. And they want to be Japanese. They want to go to Japan because they think anime is awesome. So when you bring up Japan, they just automatically just think of all the anime they love watching.
And interesting is that if the SJWs ever go there, they will be completely. I mean, triggering is not the word. It has their brains will blow up of the misogyny, of the blatant sexism, and everything which they think is wrong with the West. It's there. And people,
Korea.
the Japanese are very racist. In fact.
Oh yeah, and the Koreans also. Remember,
Exactly.
Korea for when you can't go to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Koreans are not as racist as the Japanese. But god damn it, the Japanese are racist.
But at the same time, in Japan, it's quite simple. You can come and live in Japan as wherever you come from. For example, an American, you're welcome to live in Japan. There is one thing you will never be.
Japanese.
Okay.
You will
Japanese.
never be
Okay,
Japanese.
I have to interrupt
That
for a
will
second,
do.
okay? I have all these really fucked up videos, right? I have one where I'm calling Jenny McDermott like a horse and shit. But I told a story about a turkey baster where I had a guy imitate a Pakistani accent because the guy was Pakistani in the story, and YouTube has decided not to monetize my video.
Yeah. I stopped monetizing my videos because if they're going to, or it's going to be demonetized, or they're just not going to pay out anyway. I mean, my biggest video to date has earned me $1 with 50,000 views.
Ooh, have you ordered your Ferrari yet?
Yeah, indeed.
I earned about
On average, my videos aren't that big. I usually reach around 100, maybe 200 views.
Okay.
But
I have one video that was huge. It was a Lacy Green one, and I got 20,000 views on that, and it helped me make some money that month. But I still haven't touched it because you need $100 before you can put any of that in your bank account.
that's not happening fast either.
And this adpocalypse thing is costing everybody. So
I don't care though. I mean, it's funny to
I
have
know.
some extra money, but
No, I'm not
I'm-
doing it for that. I'm doing it for fun. I enjoy it. I mean,
I'll probably receive my first payment in 2025.
well, no, because we're doing this stupid challenge where we gotta do one video a day for the entire month. So it's just like, oh my god. So I don't care if they demonetize or whatever. It's still a fun video.
Anyway, guys, back to the topic because.
I know, sorry.
No, don't be sorry at all, mate. I mean, I don't mind joining in on the talk, but
I thought you were nearing the end of it anyway. So.
yeah, we are near the end of it. So now in the stream, in the chat, I see that Empire of Truth still thinks that Hitler and the Nazi Empire wasn't socialism, and I'm really curious why he thinks it wasn't socialism. No, I'm not trying to be funny.
Did we even really touch on the whole communism thing, though?
We haven't touched communism at all, to be honest.
Yeah, no. Then we're not close to the end.
Well, yeah, good point. Fair enough. No, but the thing is, and this is something that scares me a little bit. When we talk about ideologies and the problems that they create, somehow socialism and communism always get a free pass. Everything bad in the world has nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
And the one ideology that always has to defend itself is capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at the death count.
Well, yeah, that too.
With the exception of the 20th century, more people have died at the hands of Islamists than anybody else. But in the 20th century, communism killed far more people than anything else.
Yep.
And I think it's a little bit, where you come from. In my country, I come from Poland. People remember communism, and therefore people know the history and they know communism, and they don't want to have nothing to do with it. And they're not going to tell you that it wasn't that bad, and they're not going to take the bullshit that it wasn't that bad. So, we know that. I remember still a situation as a child when we were running away, and that was I was really small kid, and that really wasn't that bad. We didn't have a bad situation in Poland, and what actually my grandmother had to go through was way worse.
I hope you find this interesting. I actually have a pistol from Poland. I just wanted to say that.
Oh.
Very, very interesting history with Poland.
Yeah. That's silence.
I would want to say do tell, but
I understand. You guys can continue. I do like the Polish people, by the way. Very, very, very good people.
Yeah.
You're having peace instinct.
She's already taken, mate. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, Polish history is very interesting as well, to be honest. Especially.
Are you kidding? I'm not taken.
Where was I going with this? Yeah, no. The thing is that if we look at our contemporary history, socialism and communism has been getting a free pass. We're okay to talk about everything negative, but once we do, if it only hints at being left, we ignore it.
Yep.
It's not even that we are not allowed to criticize it. We don't even start criticizing it. For example, if we look at, and this is completely different, but if we look at Great Britain during the 70s, 80s, and 90s, when the Leyland car companies started being run based on socialism.
Right.
They were completely destroyed after a few decades. This happened in a capitalistic country. But because socialism, even then, it got totally wasted. The English car industry used to be the best of the world. It was a joke after that.
I was going to say that after World War II, though, the U.S. actually led everyone in manufacturing. It was actually from World War I to debatably till very, very recently, aircraft production, we cornered the entire market. No one else can compete.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, good point.
It is. I gotta.
Carlos, you're making a lot of noise, mate. Stop hitting your keyboard.
I apologize.
Guys,
I have a really sensitive microphone.
We know. Well, Sicko makes a very good point. Hitler's socialism was supported by tyranny. And here is my humble little question. Which socialism wasn't? Have we seen socialism anywhere in the world without a form of oppression?
No, not even in Canada.
No, that's the thing. I can't think of a single example of where we've really seen socialism without people forcing, without... I mean, most of the political left seems to be more aggressive than the political right.
You know what? I'll just say this, and I think more people should say this more often. I do not know enough about the subject to actually talk about it. So I'm here to learn.
But it's like the self-awareness that drives me crazy. The lack of self-awareness, you know, it's just like, just sometimes you just want to put your head through a desk because you're just like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did find this live stream to be very educational, like especially when Carlos actually took the time out to list each and every form of socialistic aspect in the Nazi era, like, you know, Hitler, you know, did the whole gave pension and whatnot. And I mean, that's a nice list, and I hope, you know, at least one of you would make a video on that. You know, that's the way it at least gets out there. You know?
Well, then what happens too is like power goes to some people's heads, and they just, you know, they're just messed up. Like even the story behind how he even started the fucking war is messed up. Pardon my language, but I just swear when I'm talking. What
a lot of people don't understand is that the Second World War actually didn't really start at all. It was a continuation of the first.
Yeah.
But we call it the Second World War.
Oh no, but I think Hitler in his head knew he was going to do all the shit that he did. He just was waiting for the right moment to be able to frame. What was it? Was it in Poland? Is that what it was? A Polish prisoner or whatever it was, right? Put the they killed a German citizen or something and put like a Polish uniform on him or something and blamed him for some. Yeah,
it was a false flag operation.
Mm-hmm. And that's really sad that you know, a lot of people though, especially the younger people now, don't even realize that. You know, they say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy nut." It's like, no, it's in the history books. That's what happened.
Well, thanks to the education system for that.
But that's the thing, though. We don't get taught the damages that socialism has brought. The concept of socialism is a very good one. Marx wasn't even the first to think of it. I mean, if we look at Jesus Christ in the Bible, that dude is a socialist.
Yeah, basically, yes.
So the concept of socialism is very old. But it never, ever, ever worked. And we're not to criticize it, because if we do, people figure out, wait a second, this doesn't work.
We can use certain key aspects of it, but very limitedly. We can't expand too much. For example, I'll give you the example of a welfare state, unemployment benefits. They can work, but they should be limited to, say, 1 year maximum. If you can't get a job in 1 year, we will put you in a job, for example.
I like the idea if a person can't find a job, for them to just be placed in a job that needs people. That sounds like a really good idea. You know.
The only thing with any good idea is sometimes things are good ideas, but it's how they're implemented. So you
They
got to
were-
be careful with.
This is not a new concept. This is what the New Deal was all about.
Yeah, but like you say, for the thing, if you cannot find a job for a year, they should put you to job, which I can agree. And I remember a few years ago when I had a problem with finding a job, and I spoke with a friend of mine, and he's in Denmark, and he's like, okay, I don't understand. Why don't you go and get, some degree, some course, get the papers?
Right.
Yeah, because I don't have the money for it if I don't work. And he's like, it's a strange system you have in the Netherlands. My wife was jobless for like 1.5 years. She couldn't find a job. So basically, they called her and they offered her education. She could choose out of some education what would actually, make her chances to find a job. And she needs to pay when she has a job. She needs to pay for it back. But because she doesn't have a job, first they're going to pay for her so that she can have, more chances to find a job. So that's really also a good system. But the Netherlands, I think they used to do it, but they don't do it anymore for a long time.
We
now
have
they're
here.
starting it up again that you have to work to your ability. So if you're like 60%
exactly.
disabled, you still have to work to 40%.
That's a bit extreme.
I would like to.
But what we have here in Portugal is for people who have they can't find a job for, they have zero qualifications, like they only did primary school. There's a lot of families like that, and they basically don't want to work, and so the government gives them you can call it a pension. It's about €300 a month, and they don't do shit. I don't agree with that. I would give them 400 or 500 euros a month, cleaning out the forests which are burning now here, cleaning out the roads which so they won't flood and get damaged. And at the end, that's a proven thing that Roosevelt in the New Deal, he built the Hoover, he built public works where he got all the unemployed to work.
Yeah.
And
because they were working, certain problems disappeared. Because
exactly, it gets them a good self-esteem. Yeah, that's the problem. It
Also, you got to think about. You also have to think about the deficit spending that happened, especially because of that.
But yes, but it was paid off really fast.
That's the thing.
This was a really critical period. We are what the crisis is happening in Europe. They are doing the whole opposite. Instead of investing, putting people to work, which then generates wealth, no, they've austerity measures, and it's slowing down the world, Europe at least.
Yeah, it is actually the only countries that didn't do that. Look at Iceland and to a lesser extent Ireland. They are picking up way faster out of this economic crisis than the rest of us are.
Yeah. Portugal, this austerity has helped, but shit, I don't know how we did an economic miracle. Honestly, I don't know how they did it. And even now that they have a minority government, if the UK thinks it's got with the Tories are in a minority government, Portugal is ruling in a minority government.
Yeah,
the Socialist Party,
the Dutch had a minority cabinet as well. It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
As long as people work together.
Well, speaking about the whole welfare thing and stuff, it's I'm also on welfare, but they made me go get a job, right? So I'm working with wood now and stuff. But now it's kind of like, well, I'm working to get my welfare, sort of. You know?
I would like to, but the way the pension works in Canada is that like they take 50% of your income after $200. So it makes it difficult. They're like, oh, we want you guys to work. It's like it makes it very difficult because in 10 years' time, I'm going to need those benefits because I won't be able to work, right? So I don't want to get knocked off them because it'll take me years and years to fight it.
Yeah.
But
plus, if you work, 40 hours, you make too much money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they limit. There's so many limits on that. My thought is not very socialist thinking. Putting people to work instead of paying them a welfare. But it is sort of socialist in a way, because instead of keeping them at home where they're doing nothing, they are, like I said, they are getting they are working, and just by the fact that they're working is good for their self-esteem.
Yeah.
Or get an education, pay for an education into something, and then put them in areas where they're needed, because there are lots of vacancies that aren't filled because there are no qualified people.
Oh God! Here in the U.S., the anyone who's looking for a quote-unquote good job, in like an office or something, yeah, good luck finding that. But if you're wanting to work at like Caterpillar for $45 an hour, but you had to go to a trade school first for 2 years, there Caterpillar, many other companies, they're begging and for people. They'll train you everything, but people aren't going for it
because it's a hard it's hard job, and people.
No, I've seen.
Isn't there a serious difference?
No, this is kind of funny though, because I'm not quite sure. There was a state in America where they said if you live on handouts, if you live on social welfare, you have to work 20 hours voluntary work a month.
Yeah, like here what they say is for welfare, it's different than disability, Ontario, where I'm from. So it's different from disability, but basically, yeah, they tell you got to fill out this form that says you're either working or that you're looking for work, like the same amount that you would for a part-time job, that you're spending all that time at the employment place looking for work on the computer, whatever, right? So yeah.
But isn't there a serious deficit in trade and schooled workers in the U.S. anyways?
There is, especially like women. You know.
Well, also in fields like the one field that we still dominate the world in, the aviation industry, I am a rarity. I'm a young guy going in the industry. The vast majority of people, like for example, crop dusting. Many people don't think about it, but you can make good money working 6 months out of a year crop dusting. And the average age of crop duster pilots in the United States is 59 years old.
Oh, why doesn't that surprise me?
Well,
within 10 years, within 10 years, over 2/3 of our crop duster pilots in the United States will be dead from natural causes, not crashes.
I'm staying at a student residence right now, but they also operate at like a motel during the summer. So like all these guys who steel workers, right? They travel around and they're working or whatever, and they're working this summer, so they're down here, and I see them and they work their asses off. And like, there's one woman there, and she's tough as freaking nails when she's talking and stuff, and it's just like, you know. And I said to them, I said, yeah, you know, they need more women in trades, because it's true. We need more men in trades too, especially. But
we just need more people in trades.
Well, in Canada, it's like the people coming over. Nothing wrong with. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with necessarily being from Pakistan, India, wherever you're from, but like some of these people coming in here are getting jobs that aren't really that helpful, you know.
Sure.
Real well, yeah. Well, you have social justice in majority courses in universities. What did they expect? Everyone.
Plus, I think we need to reduce the public funding, because the more public funding there has been in past years in the universities, the more of that we've seen.
You're gonna love this.
I'm going to interrupt here for a second, because you were talking about how people, Pakistani, came to Canada and they were given jobs. But are they given jobs? Because if we look at, for example, Sweden took in 163 or 165,000 refugees in the last few years. Less than 500 actually have a job.
Well, look, they're not giving them jobs. They are. I do know somebody that was talking about the fact that they went for Habitat for Humanity to get a house, and they said, no, that's for the immigrants.
So the thing is, if we look in Europe,
they're picking jobs, right?
Well, if they're taking jobs, I don't give a fuck, because they're working. If you work for a living, you're welcome. There's only 3 rules I think people should abide by. 1, you should learn to speak the language.
Right.
2, you should work and earn yourself a living. And 3, you should abide by the laws of the land. Well, look, if you are going to be willing to keep those 3 rules up in your head, I don't care. But what we see is in Sweden, 165,000, less than 500 actually got to work. Denmark, basically said, okay, refugees are welcome here. We can set them up, but you have to pay for your stay. So if you don't have a job, we're going to look at what kind of jewelry we have. Okay. We're going to take your jewelry as payment.
Yes.
You're willing we're willing to sell it back to you if you make enough money so you can buy it back. But this is not supposed to be a handout state.
Well, I gotta make 2 points.
All of Europe crashed on the attitude of Denmark when that happened.
Okay, I gotta make 2 points though. Okay, first off, this year they made that decision to let a whole bunch more refugees in because of Trudeau, right? But what the problem is that most of them are going to be family class, so they're going to be single mothers with a bunch of kids, and they're not going to be working. So they're going to
you don't have to worry about that.
And we have
roughly 70% of all the refugees at this point in time are workable age men.
Yeah, have you seen the refugee boats?
But you know what the problem is that there's not enough jobs for Native Canadians. There just isn't. As it is. But number 2, I wanted to point out, you know what they're doing now? If you're on welfare, so if you make under $20,000, your family or you or whatever, or you're under 25, free education now. Totally free, like in France.
I'm not against free education. The problem is free education is never free. So the question is, how is it going to get paid?
Taxes.
Taxes. Money has to come from somewhere.
Like they're taking it from the taxes and putting it into this program.
Yeah, fair enough. But then that money isn't spent on something else.
I know.
So is that a socialist program then? You just kind of try to get it back onto the conversation.
You can always borrow.
No, that definitely does sound socialist, doesn't it? Like it definitely is.
It is socialist. Yeah.
If you don't increase taxes, you can always borrow and then get to a point where you become Portugal.
Or Greece.
Yeah.
Greece.
But it's funny
because I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that Europe soon will be Portugal.
No, but go ahead, Chair. You wanted to say something, and I'll respond to this.
I forgot. I was gonna say that like the free education thing is fine, but the problem is that they're not being encouraged to go into STEM or trade or anything. These people are coming in and taking free education to go into social work's good to take, okay, for some of them, but there's a lot of people who are taking there's a new program at U of T called Social Justice Education.
Fuck that.
I know. So they're gonna take their free fucking education and take that shit.
Basket weaving courses.
It's like you can only take your free education if it's in something fucking useful.
Yeah, they're gonna get triggered and they're gonna make little vagina doilies in arts and crafts, you know.
Basket weaving is more.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt now because I did want to make a point as well. Because you said, Chair, there are no jobs, so they're taking away the jobs that people here need, and that in itself is a problem.
Their jobs are just not enough.
But the thing is, if a society goes more like a capitalistic society, there are more workers, so you can hire people a little bit cheaper, so you can hire more people, so your production goes up, and that way you can have everyone working. The problem Canada is also facing, it's not only that there are not enough jobs, but they are doing these stupid taxes on coal, for example, the carbon taxes, which is destroying creative producers everywhere, and especially in Canada. I mean, Canada has lost a lot of jobs because of it. Yeah. But at the same time, they're taking in a lot of people that need jobs.
Well, look, you're talking about being a secretary and stuff. It's like I never finished, but I was planning to finish my education, and I started off as an engineer, and then it wasn't the program I thought it was. I thought it was computers, and it turned out to be household shit. I'm glad I didn't take that because, well, I can't walk now. But like, I was going to go in there for office administration, right? And if I graduated that, it wouldn't do me any good because if you're a dude, forget it.
But that's the thing. Sorry, go ahead, Falcon.
Just one sign of Canada being in trouble. We were starting to build the parts because we build on orders. If we don't have orders, we don't build airplanes. We build crop dusters. We had an order of 6 airplanes from some company up in, I don't remember, somewhere in Canada. They just canceled the other day. That's the first time anyone has ever, even just some farmer in the middle of Kansas, has canceled an order for an airplane in 10 years.
Wow.
That's a bad sign.
Well, and then they had the whole softwood lumber thing that was going on for like 10 years. Thank God they resolved that problem. But yeah, and it's like we were in the TPP as well, and all that shit. So I mean,
I'm to be honest, I'm glad that the TPP basically got blown to bits when Trump became in office.
I knew nothing about it at the time when it came out, and I read it, and I did a lot of research and stuff and found out about it. I'm like, yeah, that was a shitty deal.
Well, I don't understand why people talked about keeping that anyway. And it's the same as what we've seen in Europe, because Europe is basically trying to be a socialist state. It's kind of funny. Nobody likes to see this. But every European country votes for their own government. And we vote for our representatives in the European Party or in the European Parliament. But the parliament members that we vote in don't really have anything to say.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how you were saying TPP was such a raw deal?
Yeah.
That reminds me of when the Clinton administration, thank God, the only Clinton administration that happened, opened up trade with China. You saw all of our industry leave. And it's just now starting to come back because the Chinese Communist Party has gotten greedy.
I did the best thing in that video. I took Down with OPP and remixed it to be Down with TPP. So,
yeah.
Wasn't there the TPIP or something as well?
No, there's the TPP and then there was the NAFTA, right?
NAFTA.
North American Free Trade Agreement.
Like, Canada has our own agreements with some other countries like Australia and stuff like that. We don't have our own with like Mexico, China. So those are things that Trudeau will have to negotiate. But Trudeau is taking the Chinese guys and just putting them in his pocket. Like literally, they're paying him all this money. He's putting it in his foundation. I don't know what they're even doing with that money in the foundation. It blew up like 10 times as much money as his father ever put into it. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore. Like,
I think it's like the Clinton Foundation. It's just a way to launder money.
Yeah.
We're giving like $56 million to the Aga Khan, which I don't agree with. Everyone's like, he's a humanitarian. It's like, yeah, but he's also pushing Islam, so fuck that. He's only helping the Islamic people. Like, I don't agree with that. If you're going to help people in that country, help the non-Islamic people too. Help women get out from under those guys' thumbs and everything. Like,
isn't that bill, what was it, 113, the anti-Islam Islamophobia bill?
That one's gone now. They repealed that. They're repealing that one. They're also repealing the law that said it was illegal to challenge someone to a duel. I'm serious. See, here's their logic. Their logic is dueling doesn't happen anymore, right? But they're going to get some drunken Canadian idiot in a bar, get in a fight with some other guy, and they're going to do it. I know they will.
Yep, and they'll claim, we were dueling, you can't touch us.
They're repealing the law that says it's illegal.
Canada.
Yeah, you can't portray crime in comic books. You can't make them. Okay, and that's being repealed.
We've seen the same happening with slavery in America in the 1930s. You weren't allowed to show white slaves, and now suddenly no one thinks that there were white slaves. If you don't allow crime in comic books, then eventually people start believing that there is no crime. This is communism.
Okay. That means no Batman, no Superman, no Spider-Man,
no, of course not.
Dick Tracy, none of that.
No Marvel and no Marvel.
Dick Tracy.
No.
You destroy the entire comic book genre in
we
that.
could sell them. Okay, they could sell them. They just couldn't make them. So that's gone now. And it's also, and now like there was another one. It's pretending to practice witchcraft used to be illegal. They say pretending because witchcraft isn't real. Anyway.
But if it isn't real, then why is it illegal?
Yeah.
So
because there's all the hysteria back in the 1800s.
They decriminalized the practice, the pretending, but they still have the actual one criminalized, right?
No, I don't know. Okay, listen to this one.
Joke, man. It's a joke.
It is illegal to drag a dead horse down Yonge Street in Toronto on a Sunday.
Oh, guys, that reminds me, it's illegal to hunt whales in Arkansas. I'm not kidding you. That's a law.
Oh, by the way,
isn't Arkansas
Oh! Repeat that, please. What?
Yeah.
It's legal to hunt whales in Arkansas.
No,
Will.
illegal.
Yes, it's
Illegal. Arkansas landlocked.
It is not lawful to hunt whales in Arkansas.
But you know,
I kid you not.
okay, and Canada also, by the way, you have to keep in mind, we're only 150 years old this year.
That's no
We're
excuse.
older than you.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. That it's not an excuse, but I'm saying, holy shit, we've gotten fucked up a lot quicker than you guys did.
There's one
Australia.
you can definitely say about
they
the
also
US.
that. Yeah, shit.
If the U.S. decided to get more oil hungry or get power hungry or whatever, there's Canada. You guys aren't using most of your oil reserves, so helping hand a little annexation here, a little bit of getting the oil there. It'll help everybody.
Oh, they won't need to annex you. They just buy it.
Yeah. That is true. As long as you buy and sell in dollars, they won't touch you.
Okay, I have a really unrelated
Yeah,
question.
shit.
Has anybody noticed that in Google Hangouts, not when you're using like the audio programs or whatever, that they've now is it just my computer or has YouTube done it where they completely lower the volume on any videos that you try and watch on YouTube while you're streaming?
I wouldn't
That's
know.
your
I haven't
computer.
tried.
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, that's happened to me too. Where I was doing like a live video response to
Yeah.
Oatimus, but they completely lowered the volume.
So it's not
to-
just me. Okay, I'm just making.
Yes, so you can hear him. So it was weird doing a live video response to a video that nobody could hear. I mean, I could make out what he's saying because it's on my computer,
Yeah.
so I could make out what he's saying, but everybody else had a hard time.
No, but I mean, I can't even hear it on my
and then,
computer.
and then when I rewatched my own video, he is
Yeah.
completely mute.
Yeah, I can't even hear it on my computer, so it must be my computer or something. I don't know. I gotta look into it. But it was weird. It started happening. I was trying to listen to the last part of my video that I did because I messed it up. But yeah, so it's just like
I don't have
know.
that problem.
Okay, so it's
Yeah,
not.
when I'm streaming, I don't do anything else.
I know. I try not to. But yeah. So and I figure we're going off topic at this point because normally your
Oh, we've
streams
been
only
going
last-
off topic for quite a
I know,
while.
but your streams only last.
It's hard to stay on topic usually with us.
I know, but your streams only last about 90 minutes usually when I've been on them.
2 hours. 2 hours.
A maximum of 2 hours.
Oh, by the way, okay, so I started to do my live stream thing on Fridays. It's I don't know what time zone you're in, but I'm doing them at 10 Eastern. You guys are welcome to come on whenever you want. I'm actually looking for people to be like regulars,
I'll
Um,
try,
I
but I
can pop
can't
by,
promise.
but
or just show up whenever. It's fine. I'm just saying that you guys are invited. You're welcome to just stop by my channel. If you see it in the chat, just say I want in, and I'll send you a link or whatever.
Oh, cool, thanks.
Drop a link to your channel in the side chat.
Okay, I will.
I think I've subscribed to Chairview from one of these streams.
You know what I've noticed though, that like I was talking with those steelworkers the other day. I normally don't talk to strangers, but that often. But I actually found that I was talking to them and they actually friggin' laughed out loud, which is rare for me. And I noticed that like YouTube has helped me with confidence, like it really has. Like I'm not even like I'm not interested. I'm not fully MGTOW, but at this point, I'm not really going after relationships. It's been 2 years, but like I'm not as worried about talking to some strange girl on the street and being like, "Hey, how are you?" and having them shoot me down or something. I'm not worried about it.
Well, it is sort of public speaking what we're doing here.
No, but then I realized, and I said,
Yeah.
people actually find me funny, so that's in real life, not just online. So that's good.
Yeah, but not for the reasons you think, mate.
I know, right?
I'm sorry, that was nasty of me. I'm sorry.
Online, it's what makes
Yeah, you're a dick, Modwain.
No. My buddies make fun of me being crippled. That's usually the butt of the jokes is me being crippled or something. So I don't mind. I don't care. Doesn't bug me.
Yeah, nah.
But
There's
I had,
no
you know what's interesting? I've only got 375, but I had a smaller YouTuber today contact me who's only got like 22 subs, and he asked me for a collab, and I said yes. So I'm not gonna, even when I get really huge, I'm not gonna be a dick about collabs. If I get huge,
Yeah, I should do more collabs too.
You should hit up white YouTuber.
But there's a guy you should check out called Twiggy Chan, and he's really hilarious. He's okay. He does the
Okay,
same.
we're not going to do the shilling
I know.
just yet.
I know, but
That's
I'm just
for the
saying.
end of the stream.
I'm not shilling me. You should check out him instead. 'cause
No,
he needs to-
I'm not saying you're shilling you. I'm saying you're shilling.
I know. Okay.
Shilling
I'm
is for
gonna
the
go
end
for a
of the stream.
smoke though. I'm going for a smoke. That's why I'm saying something now, because I got to go for a smoke. And in case you end while I'm gone,
You have 30 minutes.
okay.
Guys, I'm
30-minute
going,
smoke. I'm gonna start questioning you.
Well,
I know.
go ahead, Carlos.
I know.
Go ahead, Carlos.
I'm going to bed. Thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure,
And
Carlos.
it's always a pleasure talking to you, but you guys are all awesome.
Yeah, thanks for
fun.
coming
It's been
again,
fun.
mate.
Thank you, Carlos.
And I'll see you next time, mate.
Yep.
I'll be back.
See you.
Take care,
I did enjoy your stream last night, Monday, by the way. But
Oh,
maybe
thank you, man.
maybe you should have read the article before you did the stream, because at certain points in time you fell silent for quite a while.
No, because I did read the article as I usually do, but then I read it better, and it just my head didn't compute what they would with what they tried to say and what the article said at the bottom, because like I said, it contradicted.
It contradicted itself a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I said what, and that's when I was looking at the actual source material. And that's why I went a bit silent. Yeah. But anyway, thank you guys. I'll try and improve next week's.
See you soon, mate.
Yeah. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
wait. I'll be dropping out soon because I promised a friend that I'll hop on his live stream. So I'm gonna see my
Well, I'm sorry that I'm glad you came, but there were more people in the discussion about, and none of them came, which is too bad, really.
Yeah, like I'm really happy I came, and I wish I could stay longer, but I did promise a friend that I would show up in his hangouts. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Rin.
Yeah, and I really do enjoy these, and I hope to see you next week. If you are going to have a hangouts next week, I'm not sure.
Not 100% sure, because that depends on what my job will be. I have to check real fast. No, I should be able to do one. I probably will be doing one next week. Yeah.
Yay!
Okay, then I'll be seeing you all next weekend. Then bye.
See you next weekend.
Thanks
Bye.
for coming, Rin. Bye.
Next week.
I still haven't a clue what we're going to talk about next week, though. Anyway, Falcon, you wanted to say something. You wanted to say something before Carlos left?
I honestly don't remember.
That's good.
I have the same problem, man. I'll be thinking about the subject, waiting for my chance to hop in, and like suddenly we're 3 topics ahead, and it's like, fuck it.
Well, we didn't really talk a lot about communism, but then again, communism is the last stage of socialism, in my humble opinion, and everything that applies to socialism applies to communism as well.
It just doesn't make sense to hand the memes to the public for some reason. It just sounds like a total anarchy.
The thing is that there have been a lot of social experiments by equating rewards or by equating possibilities, etc. Even small scale experiments have always failed on that.
Yeah, there are small communities,
but even in small communities, you do not have equity. You have equality, but you do not have equity. As soon as you start forcing equity, small communities fail as well.
But aren't there like communities that just like work together for their town,
As long as everyone works, yeah. But if someone doesn't work, but the rest still has to work for that one, then it starts falling apart.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's why it always ends up being totalitarian, because everybody has to work. Because if one person decides, you know what, I'm not going to work, then it starts to fall apart. People get resentful. They decide, you know what, he's not working, but he's still getting to eat and whatnot. So I should be able to do that too. And you have situations like Jamestown first experimental socialism here in the Western Hemisphere. And then also you have, I can't remember the name of the settlement, but it was created by Henry Ford in Brazil.
One second. People in the chat, please play nice. Don't start threatening with hitting each other.
Knock each other out, man. Go for it. If you can find one another.
but you are right, Falcon. And the funny thing is, even on universities, they see that, and I'm using the example of universities because university students for the last 30 years have been highly socialistic in their nature. Even on universities, they've tested that everyone would get the same grade based on the average of what the class performed.
Oh, Lord.
And
I would argue more than 30 years. I would argue since probably at least the 60s.
Oh, yeah. But they've I think it's, I can't remember how long, I think 30 years ago that they tested it. But it's been, academia has been left for a longer time, especially the social sciences. Anyway, they basically said everyone in the class would get they would get equity. So if everyone scored an A, everyone would get an A. But if some of them scored an A, some scored a B, and some scored a C, they would get the average of that.
And an F. There's always one with an F.
And there's always one with an F. And
that will probably be the child that gets bullied.
No, but what did they see is that the guys that worked hard to get an A, they drew up the average. But what happened was not that other people felt like, okay, we want to draw up the average as well. No. What they saw is, oh, look at that. I didn't do much work, and I scored higher than I normally would have. So they didn't feel enticed to put in the work.
They get rewarded for not doing the work.
It takes away the human initiative and risk-taking because it doesn't matter then if you worked hard or not. You're still going to end up somewhere in the average. So who cares? It's not affecting you directly.
But what happened? No, guys, sorry, because you are responding to something. The real kicker is the guys that scored highest. They recognized that scoring highest wasn't doing anything for them. Yep. So they stopped performing. Mm-hmm. So when you work with equity, average production will go down.
Yep.
And that's the kicker. That's why socialism and communism cannot work. Because if you find a group of people who are willing to help each other out, then everyone performs to their absolute top.
Yep.
But if you force people to help each other out, they will do the bare minimum.
Well, isn't that what happens with taxes and welfare and all that shit, though?
Yeah.
More or less. Except we don't really see it. We don't really think about that.
But that's the problem with socialism and communism. And in every example out there in the world, we see this continuously. And whether it's called socialism or communism or not, sometimes it has a different name. For example, in South Africa, they call it, what was it again? Oh, fucking hell, I made a video about it once. I forgot the name. But basically, it's socialism. What happens is that people are producing less, they're working less because scoring high only helps others.
No.
Unless, of course, you're in the absolute top, but that's a different story altogether.
Mm.
So there is a real danger. There is something important about being social, but there's something really scary about being socialist.
Yeah, I guess from all the examples given, I can pretty much see that now. Yeah. Or see it better, I guess.
Which is weird, to be honest, because a lot of people seem to think socialism is the be-all and end-all.
Because, like it was said earlier in the stream, we can take some parts and try to implement it the best we can, but full out, it would never work.
Great.
Anyway, now I was hoping to bring up another topic that Chair brought up.
Okay.
The difference between social healthcare and socialist healthcare, and why social healthcare in the Western world is failing utterly. And I'm he's not here yet, and I'm not sure if anyone
I'm here.
else. There you are.
I'm here. Don't worry.
Remember that you brought up social medicine and why it's failing utterly.
Too much administration.
No, actually, that's not the reason. It's an excuse. People say that, but that's not true. And I know I say it at times too. Don't get me wrong. I work in healthcare, and I notice that there is too much administration. But that's not the real problem. You know what the real problem is?
Pharma.
There is no market work. So everyone pays in for their healthcare. So there's a large pot of money which should be sufficient for everyone. I'm sorry, Falcon. What did you want to say, mate?
Oh crap! I forgot to mute myself. I walked away for a second because for a second there I thought someone was at my back door, and I did not know. I lived here for 4 months now, and I did not know this, but like within at a diagonal kind of distance, like within about 15 yards or so from my back door, apparently there is a apartment that is only basically a bunch of girls my age. Now I'm thinking. Now what's going through my mind is
I should leave the stream and hang out with them.
First of all, actually what was going through my mind is, damn it, I got a girlfriend. I just started dating this girl.
There's a very simple rule. If you have one girlfriend and you meet another girlfriend and you can only keep one, which one should you keep?
The
answer isn't nice, but it is accurate.
The one that nags last.
The one you should keep is the second one, because the first one didn't do it for you. Otherwise, you would have went the second one.
I wouldn't totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I would say. Actually, I'm not gonna say. Dan actually finally starts talking, and when we start talking about women, she goes, "Wait, what?"
There is another version now. Another point you made. It's not about who can you get; it's about who can you keep with you as well.
Bingo.
Well, I moved to the States for this girl, right? And then I met my team coach from where I was working, and I fucking fell head over heels. But I'm like, I'm not gonna go for her, man. I flew all the way for this other chick, right? So, yeah, I'm gonna just stick with this one. Later, it all blew up and shit. You know.
Who says you only have to one at a time? You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, don't do two. It's not worth it. It really isn't. Anyway, so no, go a little back to the social healthcare thing.
Oh yeah.
Why doesn't it work? The real problem with the social healthcare system isn't the social bit. The problem is the financial bit. Yeah. And this doesn't make sense because you'd think in a capitalistic system, the economy of it would be sound.
Nope.
But it isn't, because with our current healthcare system, the production of medicine is protected. So they can ask whatever they want. The healthcare professionals are protected. So they can ask whatever they want. And because there is a big pot of money, the prices are going up. And for example, I made a video about this not too long ago. Actually, quite some time ago. For example,
with the big pharma, right?
Sorry? Yeah.
The big pharma video.
Big pharma, yeah. Do you know the EpiPen? EpiPens are life-saving pens to inject yourself with epinephrine if you are having bloody blood shock. Yes, anaphylactic shock.
Low dose epinephrine, artificial adrenaline, helps dilate the circulatory system.
Yes, and then you have to hurry yourself to a hospital to get help, but it saves lives. The price,
very much so.
The price to make an EpiPen is about $2. The price to
Really?
buy an EpiPen is about $600. It used to be $50, but within 8 years, it went to $600.
In the
Wow.
US, right?
Damn. And those
In the
things
US,
have a
well, in the
shelf
Netherlands,
life.
it went up as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
Sorry,
things
I
also
didn't
have
hear
a
what you
shelf
said.
life.
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yes.
not like there's some
And-
drugs that you can literally buy, and then 10 years later, if you just keep them dry, use them. But
Yep.
epinephrine has a very short shelf life
I'm not sure if it's very short, but they do have a shelf life, yes.
compared to
I
other
felt
drugs. it is.
$600 for something that costs $2.
The World Health Organization a few years ago went to a Dutch professor of biochemistry,
Yeah.
and they asked him, okay, we have an issue, there's an illness, it's affecting people in Africa, it doesn't happen that often, the medication is too expensive, we need to find a way to produce medication cheaper. And basically he said, okay, well, it's a good study subject for my biology classes, we're going to do it. But if I'm going to be able to produce it 10% cheaper than what they are selling it for, then I'm already satisfied. Because, in all fairness, people need to make some money when they sell it. No, said the World Health Organization, we want you to try to be a lot cheaper. So please try to be 20%, maybe 30% cheaper. And he said, I'm going to try, but I'm not sure if I can do it. In the end, he was able to reproduce, slightly different pattern, of course, reproduce the same medication for less than 10% of what it's being sold for.
Right.
Damn.
He was flabbergasted. He was like, what the And then he started a whole campaign to get people aware, etc., etc., etc. There are, for example, AIDS medications that are now being produced in India, because India doesn't care about the patent laws for most of the Western world. They are selling it in Africa for, what, $13 a month, instead of the American version, which costs several $1,000s per month.
Oh, yeah.
We are being bled dry by the pharma industry. And that's why socialized healthcare cannot work.
The way it is right now, anyway.
Yeah, the way it is. We should have socialized healthcare anyway, but the idea of socialized healthcare isn't a bad one. But you can only have socialized healthcare in a market economy. And in a market economy, no one should be protected. But the pharma industry is.
But look even at the story we heard not so long ago about the Lyme disease, that they cannot basically in the Netherlands get to the agreement, so it will be no longer, I missed the word in English. So the insurance will not pay for it anymore. To get the medication, if you get that disease, they estimated that it costs $140,000 a year. Now, who can actually spare $140,000 a year of normal people working? And I'm like, they just couldn't get into agreement because the insurance wanted certain price, they didn't get it, whatever, they fucked up. And I'm like, this is the moment when people should actually say, no, we're not going to go to work. We're going to block the roads. You're going to get that agreement. Why? Because this is the first disease, and this is basically open door to disaster again. Look what it will happen in 10 years from now if we won't stop it. But it's going to be mentioned in a radio at 3 o'clock afternoon when most people are working. Actually, they don't mention it anymore, and people are not even aware of that.
Right.
No. This is where we should riot, not for fucking social justice bullshit.
But that's the problem, though. I mean, there is nothing wrong with being social. But as soon as you force people, and at the same time protect the other half, it's never going to work.
Nope.
The problem with socialism is that every power corrupts. but socialism is a breeding ground. Communism is a breeding ground for corruption.
Yeah. I would say that's true. And what's funny about it is like the Liberal Party is not liberal.
Well, yeah. I love it. For example, if in America the idea that the Republican Party is evil and the Democratic Party is for freedom. And I'm like, guys, have you ever checked the history of the parties? And I'm not even talking about the history of 100 years ago. I'm talking about the history of 10 years ago.
It is completely laughable.
It is. Well, it would be if it weren't so sad.
Look at the Democratic Party push versus what the Republican Party pushed back in the 90s. I was born in 95. I was born into a very famous piece of legislation that across the nation that has been vehemently hated in the South, called the Clinton gun ban. It was completely useless. It did absolutely nothing. There's still arguments to whether or not it was even worth the administrative cost just to get it through. And in fact, here's the funny thing. The rifles were actually more accurate and had slightly higher muzzle velocity than the pre-ban rifles. So, and they're also it's also the same people that said hate speech is not free speech. You're trying to get rid of our rights.
I hate to tell you, but hate speech is free
sorry,
speech,
you're evil.
Like that's why people like freaking Onision, for example, is allowed to say whatever the fuck he wants because free speech, and I support their right to it, but I also support my right to dispute what they're saying. You know.
Oh, but you always have the right. Well, at least in a free society, you should always have the right to voice your opinion.
Oh, dude, even if you want to say go kill so and so or that whites have to die or whatever it is.
No, that's inciting violence. That's not free speech.
Exactly. Inciting violence is a different thing.
Yes, but you're still allowed to say it. I know, but you should still be allowed to say it. But the people are listening, right? I don't think necessarily a person should be blamed on necessarily all the time inciting violence per se, unless they're the ones that start like physically attacking somebody. But if they say it and someone else chooses to do it, what about personal responsibility? Where's that gone? You know what I mean? Why are we not responsible for choosing to attack somebody if we're told to, or choosing not to? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I agree with you. But at the same time, that's why hate speech is not allowed. I mean, basically all forms of speech are allowed, but hate speech is allowed. Inciting violence is not. Just like shouting fire in a crowded theater is not, because people will get hurt. Now,
they will actually die.
Well, if your feelings get hurt because of something I said, fuck that.
Okay,
but if people are actually physically violent to each other, then that's a problem.
Okay, I have to point out that I've done a video on this before, that shutting fire in a crowded theater, that whole court case thing was thrown out. Just saying.
Yeah, I know. But it makes for a good metaphor.
It does.
Well,
speaking about all this,
because of how easily people can be injured and or killed just by yelling that, and the way people react to it. What I'm just trying to say is, if I walk into a bar and I say we should go and kill niggers, well, and nobody does anything, yeah, that's free speech. But if all of a sudden a mob comes up and starts running around killing black people, then you know what? Sorry, I broke the law because I incited violence.
Well, let me clarify here this is, a lawyer would say this too, that like there's a difference between saying we should kill so and so and let's kill so and so. You know what I mean? It's semantics, but it does matter how you say it. But the guy at the theater thing, what they were doing, they were handing out pamphlets or brochures or something. I forget what it said on them, but yeah, they were, and it wasn't actually like physically yelling, whatever. But he was causing, people to freak out and stuff. But I don't know, like.
Speaking about all this, have you heard the rebel media tried to shut a play down?
Yeah,
because they were depicting an assassination of Trump.
Okay, so they took like what
Was it a William Shakespeare thing or something?
They've done the
with
same
Trump?
thing.
The death of Caesar.
They've done
Come
the
on.
same thing with Obama.
And it's just so weird because they claim to be for free speech and the First Amendment and all that shit, and then they go and be special snowflakes about that.
It's no different than burning an effigy. It doesn't really necessarily. It just expresses their malcontent with the person that they're burning, but they're not actually burning them. That's the thing. They're burning a puppet or whatever. Yeah. And it's like in a play, it's like it's the same thing as a movie. If you made a movie where, like, okay, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, let's go with, right? You make that fucking movie, and nobody's like, "Oh my God, he's going around killing vampires. We better freak out now because it's not accurate." But it's like it's fiction. That's the point. And I understand that. Hey, I think that having a play is a lot more creative of having a message than the way that Kathy Griffin did it, or freaking Rosie O'Donnell, or whoever. I think that having a play is a better way to do it.
It's just like the whole social justice tactics that they used. Oh, we don't like to see this, so we better interrupt the shit.
Like Michael Moore,
except they don't riot like on.
Michael Moore made his Trump film. Okay, it sucked ass, but at least he tried to do it a more creative way than just speaking out on Twitter and being an idiot. Yeah. You know, like when you watch that thing though, what's funny about it is that documentary, that stage show he did, starts off looking like he's anti-Hillary or something, but then he switches it around halfway through, and you're just like, fucking bastard. But no, I don't necessarily support what Trump's doing right now either. I'm a little disappointed, honestly. I thought that he would be more successful than he is, but it's like, you know, and I was kind of on the fence anyway. I was like, let's wait and see. And of course he fucked it up. Same with Trudeau. I was like, let's wait and see. But now it's clear that, you know, they're messing everything up. I mean, except for the legalizing weed part. And they're up
at state level, federally it's so fucked.
Well, provincially they're gonna be increasing minimum wage to 16 and then 17, I think.
Consecutive. Doesn't that just create more inflation?
It does.
Probably. But they're trying to get rid of that.
I understand the concept of minimum wage because, in a way, I'm left myself. I understand some of these things. Yeah. The problem is, it doesn't work, and it will only strengthen inflation, which will only create a bigger divide between poor and rich.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's fun that they keep doing it. It's fun that we keep doing it, but
eventually it all pretty much stay the same, right?
But no, it's not staying the same. That's the worst part of it. It makes the poor poorer. We pretend that they have more money, but because of inflation, in all actual fact, they will stay the same. But the rich will get richer because of the inflation.
Yep. By the way, yeah, I know the inflation thing. Like, I don't think they realize like the implications of it. You know.
Yeah, let's give them $13 an hour. Here's a bunch of fucking machines to do it yourself.
It's going up to like 17 or 18, 16 or 17, I think it is, right? It's a pretty high number. I mean,
yeah.
But at the same time, okay, so what the Ontario Liberals are trying to do is freaking Kathleen Wynne is trying to get reelected because 2019 is the next election, and it just so happens that the next increase is going to be 2018, and then the one after that will be 2019, right before the election. You know, so I know what she's doing. I understand the concept of politicians and why they do what they do. But it's too bad. Like,
it's too bad that so many people don't understand it, though, because
in 12 months' time, July 1st, 2018, I think 2018, they said is when they're going to legalize weed. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And then they'll tax it like 25% probably. So. Like cigarettes, it'll be the same type of thing. So.
Speaking about fucking weird prices, cigarettes you make like for what, maybe less than 10 cents a cigarette, and they cost fucking like $6 or €6.
Well, here what they have is the reserves, right? So people are going to the native reserves trying to buy cigarettes, and they're Canada's what's it called? CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency. They're cracking down on that shit. Like there'll be cop cars sitting on the edge of the reserve waiting for people to come out with cigarettes, and you can get charged like if they claim it's trafficking, they can charge you for like $5,000 a bag of cigarettes. Yeah. I know. They don't really charge people where I'm living now. They just confiscate them. But yeah, the natives know this, and they sell the cigarettes to white people, and they know that, you know, the crappiest tobacco they have, of course.
Anyway, considering the time, I think it's a good time to wrap it up.
Where the fuck?
I have to. Well, we're having a good talk. Don't get me wrong, but it's already nearly 2 hours, and everyone has left.
Old man needs to sleep.
Old man needs to sleep.
Well, Rin went over to Dolphin Radio. That's where she is. But I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, no. She said she's going somewhere else. So, and I want to thank. I want to thank first off everyone in the stream. Thank you for contributing. It was really helpful. It was really cool to have you all with us again. There's only Sun, Smurkus, and Chair here. So Chair, you are going to be the first to shill whatever you want to shill. Go ahead, mate.
Yeah, I did. My channel on YouTube is always a Chair View, and I'm doing live streams every Friday evening called the Misogynerds. So yeah.
Okay. Chair, sorry, Smurkus, you want to shill something?
I don't really have anything to shill at the moment. So, yeah. Go subscribe to everyone here.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm just going to give Chair's link downstairs because I don't have all the links handy now. My computer died during the weekend, so I have to set up every fucking bit again.
Oh,
that's one of the reasons why my video production is a little bit slower, because I was really hoping to have, well, at least today, but I don't have any of my own resources.
Yep. Okay.
Annoying. So yeah, I'm going to give links to Chairview's channel, but he's going to be the only one.
I'm looking at my channel real quick.
Yeah, look at Smurkus' channel. I might drop yours in as well then. Okay.
Wait, I'm trying to copy the link. Here. There you go.
Thank you. Son, do you want to say something to say bye-bye to the people?
Yeah, thank you for the talk. It was really, it was a good talk. Of subject at some point, but yeah, already. So it's difficult to keep it up, to be honest. Yeah, that's it. That was a good talk. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, well, I want to thank Oatimus Prime for joining us, Carlos for joining us, Falcon for joining us, and Rin for joining us, but they already left. I'm not sure if Oatimus is still in the chat, by the way. If he is, thanks for coming, mate. Everyone else in the chat, thanks for coming. It is very much appreciated. Next Wednesday will be, I have no clue what it'll be on about. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
And I hope to see you all next time.
Peace.
Bye-bye.